I've had this Samsung Galaxy Note 8 for quite some time now, and actually I feel really bad that we've had it for so long. We've been using it as a secondary device, but I haven't actually committed myself to it. So I decided at the end of May that I would make that commitment, switching over my iPhone 8 Plus to use this for at least a week to see how it was. And I figured at the time it'd be a pretty painful week. But it wasn't until July 5th that I actually switched my SIM card out of it back into my iPhone. So today, not only are we looking at the Samsung Galaxy Note 8 and how it compares to using an iPhone, we're also going to be taking a look at the Samsung Gear Fit2 Pro, as well as the actual Microsoft launcher for this. So we're doing 3 different little reviews here at the same time to see, is it feasible to live with an Android device if you really are committed to Apple? So as mentioned, this is sort of a triple review that we're doing at the same time. Now I wanted to make this experience as maybe difficult as possible. As I mentioned, my primary phone is the Apple iPhone 8 Plus. So going to something like the dual quad-core Samsung Galaxy Note 8 certainly was a big jump up. With 6 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, and what's something that really helpful during the week that we had this, or the actual month that we were using it, was the micro SD expansion storage. So not only were we able to film everything on the device and use it for pictures and games and all that, we were able to put the SD card in there, much like we've seen with other Android phones. Now again, like some of those other Android phones, in order to put that SD card in here, you do need to actually pull out the SIM tray. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it does work pretty well. Aside from that, the 3300 milliamp hour battery was actually surprisingly good, getting us through more than a day's worth of use. And especially when paired with the Fit Pro 2, it allowed us to use it as an activity tracker and an exercise tracker for almost 2 full days, including sleeping with it at night to be able to track our sleep. Now, the biggest feature of the Note 8 is that 6.3-inch 1440p display. Hands down, significantly better than the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, maybe compared to the iPhone X, it's a little bit less, but this is such a gorgeous display. It is almost the only reason why I kept using it over the iPhone. I'm not 100% sold on the UI, and even with the Microsoft launcher, it certainly helped allowing me to have notification badges for things like text messages. I really enjoyed having that, as well as integration with Windows 10. The screen here was by far the best reason to keep using it. It was just so much more vivid than I had on the iPhone 8. Now, the main things that were a disappointment for me with this phone is the lack of proper 4K video recording. It does do 4K at 30 frames per second, but if you want to get full 60 frames, you're pretty much out of luck. And I also found that we did have issues with tracking as well as autofocusing with this phone. We used it for a number of episodes of Test Drive over the last couple weeks. So if you have been watching them, specifically something like the Hyundai Elantra GT, we filmed that exclusively on the Note 8. And I just found that the picture quality wasn't quite as good as we got on the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, when we were sent this device, I was also sent the Gear Fit2 Pro. It is more of an activity tracker than it is a proper smartwatch. You can do basic things and get notifications and whatnot like that. And I do find it works actually pretty well. I was able to track any activities that I was doing. Things like mowing the lawn or moving big boulders around would allow me to get pretty accurate information for my workouts. It was able to automatically detect when I was doing a workout, and furthermore, it was pretty useful when driving around. If I needed to see a quick notification without needing to reply to it, I could see what it was. It got to the point where I knew, based on the vibration on my wrist, if it was a text message or an email. So it's a nice device to have. Might be a good competitor against something like a Fitbit, but maybe not a full-blown watch device if you want to replace something that you're using for complete control over your digital life. It does do a decent job, but it's probably not the best on the market. Now, as mentioned, this is a sort of 3-part review. The last thing that we did is put the Microsoft launcher on here, and I know that's a very strange thing to do. Now, we haven't actually updated it to the most recent, so this is a little older, maybe a few weeks before the most recent version of the Android launcher came out as of filming this, the 24th of July. The launcher itself is actually quite nice. We've been switching between the Google launcher, which I actually prefer quite a lot, and the Microsoft one, just to give it a shot. The main issue I had was Cortana. Unfortunately, pretty useless. We weren't able to actually use any of the apps built in, so if you asked Cortana, say to set an alarm, she didn't know how to do that. So if you really want to get better control, you really are stuck with Bixby. Nobody uses it, but unfortunately that's about it. But I do like the interface. I do like the keyboard and all the little quirks that come with it. Like I said, notification app icons are quite nice to have, considering the Google launcher and the built-in Samsung one just don't do that. So I did enjoy pretty much my entire experience with the phone. It was different, certainly was a change from my pretty lifelike, it was a pretty big change from being so in debt with the Apple ecosystem, but it is nice. The hardware is there. The software, I'm still not 100% sold on. I don't really like the way that some Android apps, especially ones built by Google, just work better on the iPhone. But overall, it's a very performance-oriented device. I think if you're doing a lot of multitasking, there's no doubt it's the best. If you're watching something like Test Drive and you need to be able to reply to an email, there's no doubt that the Note 8 is the best device to be able to do that with. I really enjoyed this phone more than I thought I would, which is one of the reasons why my week turned into 5. And I am really sad that we have to say goodbye to this phone. So even though this is an old device pretty much by these standards today, I'm excited to see what the Note 9 has to offer. Thanks for watching this episode of PRN Tech. If you have any questions about this device, please leave a comment below and we'll do our best to answer it. As always, your support helps make this show possible, as well as our sister Perpetual Radio Networks channel. So you can click over to that if you're interested in what we're doing on Test Drive. Until next time, thanks for watching and take care.